Whoa. The Sharks get boat race, steamrolled, whatever you want to call it. It was one of the worst performances you will see from Team Teal this year, right? Maybe, hopefully. So we'll dig into the Sharks' loss and then check in on the Barracuda on today's episode.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your worst team in the NHL. I'm JD Young, contributor at Inside the Rink, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly a part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day, even when stuff like this happens. If you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow along wherever you get podcasts, or you can subscribe on YouTube as well, or do both. Both is great. And in today's episode, we're going to be laughing to keep from crying as we dig into the Sharks 6-0 absolute beatdown clinic by the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll dig into the numbers, what they said, and then we'll check in on the Barracuda, who've also been playing heartbreaking hockey. So before we do all that, do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you guys by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app. Use promo code Locked On NHL to get up to $100 match in your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. I warned you guys, the Sharks are going to be bad this year. I warned you. This was an absolute just clinic by Tampa Bay. They did what they wanted to do to the Sharks. They just, nobody on the Sharks, with the exception of Mackenzie Blackwood, nobody came prepared to play in this game. I get it. It's been that first long road trip of the season, right? The grind maybe starting to get to a little bit. This was unwatchable by San Jose, what they did in this game. Just the mental lapses. I think that was the big takeaway for me, was so many mental lapses in this game that just led to either goals or great opportunities for Tampa. And it wasn't just one player. I mean, you can up and down the lineup point to guys who just forgot to cover their man, didn't hustle on the way back, didn't back check, just like hockey 101 type of things, right? And this so far, this is the worst performance we've seen out of the Sharks this year. And it's one of the worst performances we've seen out of them in a while. I know we've had last year, there was the Edmonton game where they got blown out, I think on a Friday night, but this game was, especially for, granted, the Sharks have not been good this year, right? You and I have both watched the Sharks. And it has been a lot of losses and but you could point to like this team still tried and gave effort, and it was just the lack of talent, right? Like tonight was just an absolute drumming. And credit, Tampa Bay is a great team. I think a lot of us kind of maybe wrote them off a little bit, especially with Vasilevsky out for the first 2 months. And it doesn't seem to matter. This is what great teams do, right? They're missing a guy. Cool. We'll throw in Johansson, who, most people, I'd think, including myself, had never heard of until this year. And there was, anytime a goalie went on waivers, it was a joke. Oh, you're a Tampa Bay Lightning. You're a Tampa Bay Lightning. They're like, we're good. We can hold down the fort. And Johansson, he's played well when he's had to make a save, but Tampa's done a great job of insulating him and making life easy for him, right? The Sharks, spoiler, the Sharks had 5 high danger chances at 5-on-5 this game. 5. The Lightning went up 5-0 in the third period. They had seven in the third period when they were leading either by 5 or 6 goals. They had 7 in the third period. The Sharks had 5 in the entire game. Tampa came out and they just put the smackdown on the worst team in the NHL. And I don't think it's particularly close right now. The only winless team left, right? You point to Saturday or Sunday's game against Washington against the Caps as a potential. There might be a win, but it could be a long, long stretch before the Sharks finally get that first win. And I want to see how they respond, right? How tomorrow they play the Hurricanes, who are, odds on the cup favorite. How do they play? I don't know if they won tonight. I'm checking right now. But you're playing one of the best teams in the NHL. And I'm not expecting the Sharks to come out and win tomorrow or Friday. I'm not expecting that, right? It's not realistic. But can you show up? They won. Sorry, Carolina did win in overtime against the Seattle Kraken. Pretty solid team. You got to put more of an effort. This it's not that I'm not mad. It's just disappointing, right? And because you want to see growth and you want to see development. Yes, I'm rooting for the Sharks to tank and be the first pick overall in the draft, right? Macklin Celebrini looks like a fine player and he would look great in teal. But you still want to see growth and development out of your players, right? You still want to see, is Philip Zadina a potential long-term piece for the Sharks? How's William Eklund's development? Is Anthony Duclair, is he a potential guy you want to re-sign? Can Tomas Hertl, who's had a great start to the season, but again, tonight, atrocious game. Everybody, atrocious game tonight. I'm not trying to pick on one person. There was very little to pull from in this game where you felt good about, but there's so many questions on this roster, right? What the defense, right? We're going to dig into the defense more next week, but Emberson, is Emberson a dude? Can Knizhov continue to come back from his ACL or from all of his injuries, right? Can Mario Ferraro there's so many questions, and when you have a game like tonight, it just makes you just want to throw everything away and start from scratch, because it's so frustrating. It's unwatchable. Yes, I know we're not going to get like we did last year where Erik Karlsson would come out and do awesome things, but you still want to see these baby steps and these this growth, right? You're taking baby steps in a very long process, and it's just one game, right? And the Sharks have played relatively well. At least they've tried. They've been professional, like a professional NHL team, not a good NHL team, not a downright bad NHL team, but they've been a professional NHL team. And you could point to growth, to development. You could point to Mackenzie Blackwood playing well. You could point to William Eklund having a good, really kind of coming on over the last couple games. But tonight was just a burn the film type of game where you close the book. Yes, you got beat down 6-0, but the good thing is you have a game on Friday, and how do you respond in that game? I wouldn't be surprised if the Sharks come out in the first 5 minutes with their absolute hair on fire, because I'm sure everybody on that roster knows what happened today, and that's what you want to see. How do they respond, right? And can you use this as a learning mechanism? Use it as a tool. Everybody has gotten the crap beat out of them in games before. We've all lost, blown out type in event, whatever competitive event, right? How do you respond? How quickly can you put this behind you? And then again, use it as a learning tool going forward. So I think that's what the big thing for the Sharks is. How do they move on? Or does this snowball into we lose 7-1 to the Hurricanes, and then we lose 5-2 to the Capitals, and then you start seeing the bickering and everything kind of coming out. So I think, like I said, I expect them to come out against the Hurricanes and with their absolute hair on fire to start the game. So that's my kind of bold prediction for Friday's game. But before we continue, we're going to look at the actual stats of the game, kind of dig into them, look at how much of a beatdown this was by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then we're going to check in on the Barracuda, who've also played better hockey, but have collapsed at the worst time. So we'll get to all that here in just 1 second. But before we do that, I do want to take a quick break and talk to you guys about a new friend, Parkview Advance. As a business owner, you realize that there are many times when receivables might fall behind, but that doesn't mean you need to find behind on vendor payments, payroll, or rent. For more than 25 years, Parkview Advance has helped businesses secure working capital from 5,000 to 1.5 million. Parkview Advance can approve your working capital in as little as 24 hours. It's a much easier process than you might imagine. We invite the many entrepreneurs that are Locked On NHL fans to learn more by calling us at 203-675-0071 or go to parkviewadvance.com. If your business needs working capital, call Parkview Advance today. Parkview Advance, helping businesses with their working capital. Go to parkviewadvance.com. And with so much uncertainty going on right now, especially like California, right? Wildfire season, earthquakes, whatever could potentially happen. These types of things can cause uncertainty, especially when it comes to getting medication. That's where the Jace case comes in. Jace case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jace Medical now offers customizability for your Jace case with dozens of add-on medications. You can choose the medication that is the best fit for your family's unique needs. So make sure you're prepared in all situations. Go to jacemedical.com, enter code LOCKEDON at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON on jasemedical.com. All right, let's dig into the numbers. And woof, I cannot emphasize this enough. All right, 48-22, 5-on-5. Shot attempts were 60-31 in favor of the Lightning. Again, the Lightning had 22 shot attempts in the third period. When this team that is how you finish a team off, right? Very easy in that situation to just shut things down, right? We're up by 5 or 6 goals. Let's just coast. No, they had more shot attempts at 5-on-5. Granted, a little bit more 5-on-5 time in those, but still they had 22 shot attempts at 5-on-5 in the third period. So Corsi for 65.93 to 34.7 in favor of the Lightning. Actual shots at 5-on-5 is 27-18, 60% in favor of the Lightning. Lightning had 40 scoring chances for, 15 against, 17-5 high danger. Expected goals for 2.49 to 1.68. That actually seems off. It feels like it should have been much, much higher, to be honest. All situations, if you really want to kind of dig into just how much of a beatdown, 80-40 shot attempts, scoring chances. The Lightning had 50 scoring chances in this game. The Sharks had 18. 50 scoring chances. They had 22. They had more scoring chances in the first period than the Sharks had the entire game in all situations. 23 high danger chances to the Sharks 5. 3.86 to 1.9 expected goals for at 5v or at all situations there. And again, that even feels like, because it felt like every 2 minutes they had a breakaway or a 2-on-1 or a stretch pass leading to something. The Lightning did whatever they wanted to in this game. So the lines are definitely funky because of they went to a blender when you're down 5-6 or whatever, how many goals it was. So here's how the lines started out. So you had Duclair, Hurdle, LeBanc, Eklund, Peterson, Zetterlund, Giovanni Smith, who comes back in with Alexander Barabanov going on IR, Nico Sturm, Mike Hoffman, Zadina, Bordelot, Luke Cunnin, and then Ferrara, Ruda, Benning, Burrows, Knyzhov, Emberson, and then Blackwood started in net, what was relieved for Capo Kakinen. Try to sort through these the best we can. So Eklund, Peterson, Zetterlund played the most at 5-on-5. And again, none of these numbers are pretty, especially with how terrible this team played tonight. 3 to 5 shot attempts. Actual shots was 2 to 2. They had a .06 expected goals for, 1 scoring chance, gave up 2, 0 high danger, gave up 2. Cut in Bordelot, Zadina played .455. 2 shot attempts, gave up 11. Actual shots was 1 to 7, gave up 2 goals, 0.21 to 0.38 expected goals for 1 to 8 high scoring chances, 1 to 3 high danger chances. Yikes. Not a good night for that line. Zetterlund, Hurdle, Duclair, who Zetterlund moved up after a little while. Actually, this line wasn't too bad. 357 time on ice, 5 shot attempts, 4, gave up 2. Actual shots was 4 to nothing. Again, this is probably at the end of the game. 3 to 1 scoring chances, 2 to nothing high danger chances. So that might be something to dig into. Maybe replacing LeBanc with Zetterlund on the top line. What a story that'd be for Zetterlund, who started the year on the 4th line and then could be by game 9 or 8 be on the top line. So we've got some Duclair, Hurdle, Hoffman, 355, 6 to 3, 5 to 2 actual shot. 6 to 3 Corsi shot attempts, 5 to 2 actual shots, 0.4 expected goals for. So also Hoffman, Peterson, Zadina played 3-12, 2 to 7. I think this was just like trying to find something that mix and match. And all of the goals at 5-on-5 were grade A, high danger, like right in front of Blackwood. And Blackwood, I put 0% of this game on Blackwood. Like Blackwood made some great saves. None of those goals were soft goals. Like I thought Blackwood played well. Yes, he gave up 4 goals. But his teammates did not help him out at all tonight. Like it was brutal. And I think him getting pulled was more of an indictment on the team and not on Blackwood. So he faced 21 shots at all situations. He faced 21 shots in 27 minutes and made 16 saves in that time. Like, gave up 5 goals, not 4. Like, just he had 10 high danger. Like, you can't live in a world where you're just giving up 10 high danger. Like, they were on pace to give up another 20 high danger chances to Blackwood. I mean, they did give up a ton of it's poor Blackwood, poor guys, poor goalies. But yeah, like I said, the numbers on this game, it's an absolute beatdown. It's just, if you look at the shot map, it is bright glowing red in front of, like, the goggles do nothing type of situation in front of Mackenzie Blackwood. Like, I maybe cover Braden Point, have somebody 10 feet in front of him, something. I don't know, man. Like that was brutal. So let's get into the Barracuda and talk about their heartbreaking in a different type of way performances here. So let's get into that here in 1 second. But do want to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our good friends over at Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Tomas Hertl scoring 50 goals, maybe not. The Sharks hoisting the Stanley Cup, 100% not. And you, though, could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app on the Locked On NHL network. Sleeper is our #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. they have a bunch of different things to choose from. Like if you want to pick whatever players you like, Ovechkin score a couple goals maybe on Sunday. McKinnon to continue to do McKinnon things. Cale Makar, Mackenzie Blackwood's seen 1,000 shots in a game. All of these, you just pick more or less, so whatever they set. So it's not like you having to play against a bunch of different people. It's just you versus Sleeper. So to win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Sharks fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. The terms and conditions apply. That's LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and location availability. All right, let's finish up with more depressing stuff. At least Will Smith had 3 points tonight. So that was good. A goal and 2 assists. So we'll dig into the prospects next week. So next week we do have some time. So Monday we'll recap both the Caps game, and then we'll recap as well as the Canes game and whatever else kind of comes up from the Barracuda. Big weekend of hockey this weekend. And then we'll probably dig into the defense on Tuesday. Wednesday, Magnus Krona, big time himself, joins. So we have a great interview with him. It's already in the can. So that'll be on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we'll probably dig into the prospects and see how the start of their seasons are. I'm going to try to catch a couple, some of their prospect games this weekend. Looking at you, Cam Lund, you're on the watch list this weekend. So, but yeah, plenty of good stuff coming up here at Locked On Sharks still. So make sure you guys are following along. But let's dig into the Barracuda, who have just two heartbreaking losses here to the Silver Knights. Both up by 2 goals in the third and just absolutely caved in. So, but I think the thing to keep in mind with this Barracuda team is there's still a lot of new players. And yes, it's the AHL. You have a lot of new players. But I think guys like some of the signings that they've made this year, right? Like Ryan Carpenter has been a big addition for them. Justin Bailey has been an absolute monster for them. Bailey has 3 goals and 4 assists already this season in 5 games, right? The defense is still, it's a lot of new pieces, right? That are kind of still trying to figure things out. And especially right now where the defense is really impacted with, like Henry Thrun, Radim Shimmick, like you have a lot of guys kind of down there. And like it's still kind of figuring things out right now for them. So, but I think the one thing that's killing the Barracuda right now is the same issue that they had last year is the penalties. Just too many penalties, especially at like the worst times for the Barracuda. That was Wednesday's game. You come out strong, you're kind of taking it to them, and then penalty after penalty after penalty, and all of a sudden you're giving Henderson a lot of chances to kind of get back into this game, and then you get a couple. So the Barracuda ended up getting 4, 5, 6 out of 7 penalties in a row. So there was 4, then the Brisson Cicek one that was an offsetting one. So it was 4 and 4 time. Like, you're just continually putting yourself in bad situations. And while I think this team is a talented team and it does have a lot of more veteran guys, that's just not winning hockey, right? So I think that has to be a key thing for the Barracuda is just keeping yourself out of the penalty box, man. Like 5-on-5, this team has been playing really, really well for the most part, but just the lapses, the mental lapse, much like the Sharks right now, mental lapses. So, but one guy who's looking really, really, really good to start the season is one Danil Gushchin. Scored his first goal on Wednesday night. Probably could have had a couple more. Already has 6 assists for the Barracuda this season, and I don't know if he keeps playing like this, and maybe especially with all the injuries the Sharks had and their ability to not be able to score more than 1 goal a game, you wonder how long until he's kind of busting down the door to where the Sharks have to really consider bringing him up to play, because yes, the Sharks are tanking, but they're still trying to win, right? Like teams don't go in with the intention of we're going to lose every game. They have realistic expectations. We know we're probably a bottom 5 team, et cetera, et cetera. But they're still trying to win, right? Everybody puts in too much work to try to win games and keep their jobs, et cetera, et cetera. Plus with Gushchin, right? We want to see, okay, what have you learned? What can translate to the NHL going forward? And what do you need to continue to work on in the AHL? So, but yeah, Gushchin has looked really strong so far. That him and Bailey have really good chemistry already. Justin Bailey has been an absolute like dynamite signing for the Barracuda this season. And I know he's on an AHL deal. I wouldn't be shocked if he gets an NHL deal to come play with the Sharks at some point this season, much like Derek Pouliot did last year, right? He signed an NHL deal so he can come earn some NHL time, earn some a little bit of NHL money, and come play for the Sharks, especially at the end of the season if the Sharks are able to trade players off, because if they have nobody healthy to trade. Oh, God, it's going to be a long season. So, but I think with the Barracuda, right, you've seen some glimpses of some flashes of the goaltending. Georgi Romanov played on Wednesday night, and you saw some good stuff. You saw some goals that he'd probably want back, but I think so far he has probably been the best goaltender for the Barracuda this year, which is a little bit of surprise, right? Georgi Romanov, who's this guy? When the Sharks signed him, but he's been really good for the Sharks. And I think the goal if you watch the game, there's a goal they gave up right at the beginning of the third period where Muka Madulin kind of gets walked, and not by kind of Muka Madulin gets walked. And that was a little bit of a soft goal where the forward basically just kind of went straight, like didn't even shoot, just kind of like tapped it in. And that's probably one that he would like back. But it feels like some of the goals he's given up feel a little fluky, but I think overall though he's been pretty strong, especially he's easily has the best the best save percentage. He's got 913 save percentage so far in his 2 games played. Corona's got 857, and then Eetu Makiniemi has a 783 save percentage. Granted, these are all tiny sample sizes of either 2 or 1 game. But you got to feel pretty good about where with Romanov. If you have to do the Romanov Krona, I think that might be a pretty solid tandem for the Barracuda, especially as they kind of iron things out defensively right now. And again, just stay out of the box. That's what's killing the Barracuda right now is the special teams, both on the power play and on the special teams. So hopefully when Tristan Robbins gets back, that'll help the power play at least. And then they start to get some reinforcements here. You can see the signs of this Barracuda team being a really fun team, especially down the stretch. So also congrats to Ozzy. Nice goal for him. Radim Shimmick, sweet assist. But Ozzy just going to the net hard, and that's Ozzy's style, right? Just go to the net hard and don't just knock dudes out from halfway across the ring. So that's going to be it for me today. Like I said, we will be back on Monday. We're going to, like I said, cover the Canes and Caps game and whatever from the Barracuda this weekend. So plenty of good stuff coming up. Like I said, next week, got a little bit of time, going to refresh, dig into the defenseman, Magnus Krona interview, and then look at the prospects. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can subscribe on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Until Monday. Bye, friends.